Hey guys, welcome back to the Route 281 podcast. I'm your host, Tim Ladich. Take a second and subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow us on Spotify. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel. Somerset County has a way of holding on to people. Some pass through and others stay, and they put down roots so deep that you'd think they were born here. Today's guest is one of the latter. He came here, he built a law practice here, and when the sheriff's search and rescue team needed help, he stepped up and is now the president of that organization. He's somebody willing to lead an effort when people go missing in this county. He's an attorney in the courtroom, a competition rifle shooter on the range, and a volunteer in the field when it matters most. Please welcome to the podcast, Attorney David T. Leake. We'll roll.
Sure. So what, just put these on then, I assume? Is this
either way?
Left? Okay.
Either way. And then pull that mic up to where it's comfortable.
Oh, okay.
And
like that?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, David Leake, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, Tim.
I've seen your office going through town, and I'm like, it's funny because I've had, very little need for an attorney, nothing serious anyway, you know what I mean? That's just business related. And I've learned to do some of the LLC stuff on my own, and like going through the Department of State, just filing an LLC, stuff like that, which, but and I saw your office in there, and I'm like, and so how long has your office been in there?
So I graduated from law school in 2014, and I was actually with another attorney. I started by clerking for the judges in Somerset.
This episode is sponsored in part by SDC Building Center. I'll be honest with you, I don't just say this because they're a sponsor. As a contractor, I've been relying on SDC for my jobs for years. Quality materials, people who actually know what they're talking about, and service that makes my life easier at the job site. So whether you're a builder like me or a homeowner tackling a project, SDC Building Center has what you need, and they're right here in our community. Support local, shop SDC Building Center in Somerset.
So like the judges at that point, there was three of them: David Clementic, John Cassio, and Greg Geary. So like I was a law clerk right out of Duquesne Law School. Like a lot of attorneys start as a law clerk because it's a really cool job. You get to like sit near the judge. You get to help the judge write opinions. So while I was clerking for the judges, I've
heard that term clerking, but I never really knew what it meant.
Yeah, like law clerk. So probably I would say maybe 50% of attorneys start as a law clerk, and they're generally like a 1-year term. And most attorneys that you ask, should you law clerk for a judge, the instant answer is always yes. Like absolutely, like it's just such a great opportunity, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. And while I was there, I met an attorney named Joseph Policiccio. Policiccio was in town for like 40 years.
I'm glad you pronounced his last name because I read it on your...
Policiccio?
Yeah, okay, yep. Yeah, I read that name. I'm like,
yeah.
I was close, but...
Yeah, and I worked for him for about 3 years, and then he retired, and I sort of took over his office.
Yeah.
So that was in 2017, and I bought the building that I'm in now, I want to say about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So the actual office that I'm in now, like on Center, I've been there for about 4 years.
Yeah. But
I've actually been practicing law since 2014.
Nice. Was that a big step to buy your building and kind of hang your own shingle?
It was. I actually bought the building off of Angelino Passanetti.
Yeah.
Who I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah. He's cut my dad's hair forever.
Well, like the ongoing joke with Ange and I is like I've funded his entire retirement because I bought his house. That's where I live, him and Rose's house.
Yeah.
And I bought his commercial building too.
Oh, nice.
But the cool thing was he used to have I think it was a Porsche 911, and he saw my C8 Corvette, and he thought it was like really cool car. So I said, well, why don't you take it for the weekend? And, I'll take your car and we'll switch. And within a week, he decided to buy a C8, and then he ordered the Corvette and got rid of the Porsche. So I did make him spend that money at least on his car,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
because he had to have the Corvette afterwards.
I'm in the wrong business. I should have went into cutting hair.
But no, it was a big step buying the building, and you know, it's in a great location.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, but at the same time, that was what I always wanted to do. So
Yeah.
like one of my first memories when I was like 3 years old was remembering wanting to be a trial lawyer.
Oh, really?
And wanting to go to court and argue. And I thought that would be like the coolest, most awesome career ever. And I wanted to
It's
own.
intriguing.
It is.
I
And
listen to a lot of true crime, you know, and one of my favorite podcasters is Megan Kelly. I listen to her,
Mm-hmm.
and so like it is intriguing. Like, so I get it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like I was in court today. I argued an emergency custody case today, and we were successful in that. And it was really, you know, it's really rewarding and it's exciting, you know, to be able to go in the courtroom and to argue. So like that was one of the first things I remember wanting to do was that goal. And then everything that I did in my life since then was like to get to owning my own firm and having my own practice and arguing in court. So that was like one of the steps on the way.
Is that like is that the most rewarding part? Is that like the ultimate thing is to be able to go argue in court and win a case? That's like...
Absolutely. And it depends on the case too, obviously. Yeah. So I do the type of law that a lot of lawyers don't like doing. So I do like domestic litigation, a lot of family
construction law. I do.
What's that?
That's the type of construction I do. I do the small stuff that most of the big guys don't want to do.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it. There's a niche for everything.
Exactly. And like just like in your career, like you probably talk to other contractors that say, oh, why do you do that? And I'm the same way. I just find it rewarding, especially, and it depends on the case, obviously. Now, if I'm helping a friend set up an LLC, I just actually helped a friend of mine set up an LLC for a construction business. I mean, it's cool that I was able to help my buddy set up his business, and that's rewarding. But the more rewarding thing is, for example, if I'm successful on an emergency custody case and I was able to assist a client with making sure their kids are safe. I've represented the Children Youth Services in Somerset before. So I was contracted through Somerset to represent CYS in the event like their attorneys were sick. So I got to represent children youth and, you know, assist with that. And when I was in law school, I also worked at Kids Voice, and I was guardian ad litem on cases where kids were taken, you know, from their home, and then I would represent their best interest. And I'm actually guardian ad litem on a private case right now that I was in court on Monday testifying to the judge what the best interest of the child is. So those are like the super rewarding cases, obviously.
Yeah, where you see some kid in a bad situation get help.
Absolutely. So
get into a better situation. Which, I mean, I'm sure that can be taxing too.
It is, and it's like a high stress job, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, and I do some firearms law too and help, you know, set up FFLs and things like that. But yeah, the courtroom stuff is rewarding and it's exciting. Yeah. Like there's always, every day is different.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I have my intern, Dustin DeLuca. Dustin's working for me now, and he's going to be graduating law school and joining me soon. And, you know, him and I spend all day in court together, and he assists me. And, like, you can tell, like, I was with him earlier today, and you can tell how exciting it is for him, you know, being it's, like, still early for him. Yeah. And it's also exciting for me, but after doing it for 12 years, you know, it's...
Sure.
You know.
Sure, but you still enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You've got a long career ahead of you. You're a young guy.
Yep.
Did you graduate from Somerset or where?
I did not. You know, I'm actually not from Somerset, surprisingly. Okay. I think a lot of people think that I am because I'm so involved with the community, but I grew up in a small town called New Wilmington, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour north of Pittsburgh. Very similar, though, to Somerset, like agricultural. I grew up on a farm throwing hay. We had horses and beef cattle. And it, like, the community in New Wilmington versus Somerset is virtually identical.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up like conservative Republican, like, you know, shooting guns and hunting and things. So it's almost like
God's country.
Yeah, it's God's country. Laurel Highlands is there's more like hills here. Yeah. That's about it. That's the only difference. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But after like growing up there, I went to college at Mercyhurst in Erie, which is like a Catholic college. And double majored there in political science and philosophy. And then I went to Duquesne Law School. So how I got to Somerset, I was hired out of Duquesne Law School by Judge Cassio, did an on-campus interview. It's like one of the things, like when you're in law school, is your last year, they have these things called OCIs, on-campus interviews, and law firms come to them and judges. And Somerset had a clerkship available. And all of these, every lawyer I ever asked, like, you have to do a clerkship. Like, that's how you need to start your career. They're so great. So I met with Judge Cassio at Duquesne Law School, and ended up offering me the job, and I was excited. And they were paying a higher salary than the rest of the other counties because they had 3 judges but only 2 clerks. So they had split the other clerks' like salary in half and given it to the other ones. So Somerset was offering like a really great clerkship for like a pretty good salary.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing was I accepted the job. Kind of funny story with that. I accepted the job, and in law school, one of the things that you can participate in is something called moot court, which is like trial team. You battle other law schools as a mock lawyer.
To give you actual experience
Exactly.
arguing a case.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I was doing this moot court competition at the West Virginia Law School, and my team ended up winning it. So I was I think I was named like the #1 advocate in the actual competition. And our final round had actual federal judges on it. So like I'm a law student in front of federal judges arguing my like mock case.
Yeah.
And Judge Fisher of the Circuit Court of Appeals of the United States, like a federal judge, comes up to me. He goes, "Oh, David, that argument was as good as practicing lawyers I've seen, and you're a law student." And he goes, "I have a clerkship I might have available. We should talk about it." And I go, "Oh, well, I already committed in Somerset County." And he goes, "Oh, well, you got to do that." But it was really cool. Like I actually got like 2 offers for clerkships.
Nice.
So yeah.
So what was it about Somerset County that made you want to stay here?
It's virtually identical to where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
But it has more. So like I'm always, and my wife says it might be some form of OCD or something. I'm always doing something like, and I absolutely love like the outdoors.
Yeah.
So like I've done the entire Laurel Highlands Trail. Like I was on the Gap Trail like yesterday evening riding my bicycle. So like all the outdoor stuff.
You take advantage of the stuff that is.
Constantly.
There are people that don't. You know what I mean? There are people that live here their whole life that never step foot on that Laurel Highlands Trail.
Oh, constantly. I've done the entire thing. Like every section of that trail that I've done. The Gap Trail.
Do it start to finish?
What's that?
Did you ever do all 70 miles start to finish?
Not at once.
Either.
If I had time, I would. Not at once. Like I've done
nice it's nice to know there's another hiker because I've done. The first time I ever did it by myself, I did a solo trip from Maple Summit Road to Ohio Powell.
Okay.
Just stayed overnight. It was in the middle of March.
Mm-hmm.
It got down to like
cold.
20 degrees, and I'm in a tent. So I was cold, but it was fun. I saw like 3 eagles that next morning.
Oh, that's cool.
And I mean, it's great overlooks on your way down to there. But it is awesome. People need to like take advantage of that. But that's nice to hear that you're taking advantage of that. And there's stuff to do with your family.
Oh, absolutely.
We just went to Laurel Hill State Park.
Mm-hmm.
Spent 2 nights in our camper. It's quiet.
Oh, yeah.
No phones. There's no cell service there, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We spend time as a family.
Absolutely.
Great things like that.
I love Laurel Hill. I was actually just talking to another attorney. She's a prosecutor. We have a jury trial this coming week. And we were talking about like the best hiking trails. And there's a loop in Laurel Hill State Park, which is basically like a 5-mile loop like around the lake and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite hiking loops. Yeah. I've done it like 3 or 4 times. I love it. Yeah. So part of it was that, but also while I was a clerk, I met a lot of people.
I'm sure,
So like when I was at the courthouse, I would walk around the courthouse occasionally and just talk to people. And I met a sheriff's deputy named Mark Hogan. Really nice guy, Mark, and he's still a deputy there. He used to be a state cop, 40 years of that, and then he retired, and now he's a sheriff's deputy. And somehow like the topic of firearms came up, and he goes, "Well, I've been trying to like get my qualification for the sheriff's office higher." And the MOPEC qualification, I think at that point was 300 points. And it's basically like a course of fire. And he explained it to me, and I was like, well, like I'm a USPSA competition shooter. I'm decently well, and I'm a firearms instructor. Like I was trained through like the NRA and a bunch of different organizations. I said, I'll work with you. He goes, okay, like let's do that. So I worked with him at the range, and it turns out, like, after working with me a few times, he like got almost a perfect score on the qual. And their instructor at that point, they were teaching like firearms class, and we actually still do it with the sheriff's office to civilians, like I think we do it like twice or three times a year. Mm-hmm. And they asked me to help, and it was really funny because at that point, the lead instructor was like, I guess the joke was like, oh, you're going to ask a lawyer to come? And they're all cops, right? Yeah. Like, you're going to ask a lawyer? And apparently Mark's like, no, he's all right. He's all right. David's okay. Like he knows how to shoot. So I went and helped those guys. And when they saw me shoot, they're like, oh man, David's really good at shooting. He's a cool guy. And that like intertwined me in. And then all of a sudden, like, I was on the sheriff's search and rescue team. I was on the sheriff's special deputies, which is like their little sub organization where you can volunteer. Like I was all of a sudden super involved with all of these different people. Yeah. Good friend of mine, Dan Dively, his range is where they use to like do that. So I got so intertwined in the community so fast that like I never thought about leaving. Yeah. So like all of a sudden I had all of these friends here, and now looking back 12 years later, it's like good and bad, right? You get involved in so much that it's good, and a lot of what I'm involved in is good for the community, and that's important to me, but it becomes taxing sometimes. Like even last night, we were gonna work on some stuff for the SAR team. We have some issues with our mapping software, and we had a search and rescue call actually Saturday night.
Yeah, I saw that. I was hoping that you could, at least tell us a little bit about what you're doing at search and rescue, and
sure,
how that call goes out, and what actually happens on the ground.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's actually really interesting, and I think that people like hearing about SAR because it is really cool. So just tiny background, and then I'll get to like the operational aspect of it. I actually got on the SAR team way back then too. It was like 10 years ago, and I helped like create the 501c3. Like it needed updated, so like I created the 501. And I've been the president of the team for like 5 or 6 years now. So whenever the SAR call goes out, generally what happens is, like, let's say, for example, Saturday night, the SAR call that we got that night was a child had went missing from his grandparents' house, and the child. A lot of the time, the children that we're looking for have special needs. Like we've found a lot of different children that had special needs or that were autistic. So a lot of the kids that we find have special needs, and a child had went missing, and ideally, and for anybody watching for that matter, ideally, if you have a family member go missing, you want to call 911 immediately. Like the second that you determine that the child is gone or missing, you need to call 911. So on this SAR call, they did unfortunately wait a little bit, a couple hours, and looked for him, was unsuccessful. Then 911 gets called, obviously, by the family, and then the 911 dispatcher dispatches generally automatically the Pennsylvania State Police, depending on the jurisdiction, and then sometimes the fire department. And then those agencies have to request like search and rescue. Okay. So those PSP did request search and rescue, and when I arrived on scene, it was, I got there. Mark Hogan, who I talked about, is on the SAR team, so he was there. Our chief, Dan Dively, had pulled in with our SAR trailer. So we have a trailer with monitors and all this different equipment. And it was actually a really cool call because I ended up knowing the grandma. Yeah. She comes up to me and gave me a hug and says, "David," and like try to find my grandson. And she was crying. I was like, okay. I was like, we're gonna do our best. Like this is what we're gonna do. So our team is really fortunate because we have a search and rescue drone. So we have this $70,000 drone with a $25,000 thermal camera. Mm-hmm. So I told her, I said, we're going to launch this and look in all of the surrounding woods and fields. So we launched the drone. Within, I would say, 25 to 30 minutes, the thermal camera picked up a heat signature. We took the drone over that heat signature, and I was like, that looks like a child lying in the fetal position. Like, let's go look at that. And it ended up being the child. So we were able to locate the child with our drone. But we also have search and rescue dogs. So like we have a couple dogs that are actually like certified for tracking. Yeah. And I don't want to bore you too much with SAR stuff because I like love it, know so much about it. There's two different types of SAR dogs. There's air scent dogs that will like scent the air, and then there's tracking dogs. So we have primarily tracking dogs. So like whenever you walk around your body sheds skin cells, like even like right now. And the dog's nose is so sensitive, it can actually smell the skin cell trail and can find you if we have a scent article with your scent on it. So the dogs are really cool too, actually.
Did the dogs assist you in this?
Not on this one. No, we didn't have SAR dogs. And the dogs are more effective the sooner, right? So the trail would have been about 6 hours old. Okay. Now that's not too old, but our handler got injured recently, unfortunately. So like we didn't have a handler that night. But so the drone assisted us with that, but we had a call out in Boswell. This was probably like 4 years ago, where a child went missing. It was really cold outside. And we were about like 1.5 miles in the woods, and I'm like behind the dog handler. Dog handler's out front, and we're on this trail. And the child had actually taken his clothes off. Like his clothes were on the trail like 1 mile behind us, and it was like 30 degrees. Like it was bad. Yeah. It's like, this is going to be a bad one. Like, and I was not excited for what we were going to find. So we're on this trail, and the dog's like in front of the handler, and the dog stops, beelines to the left, goes off the trail like 100 yards, and there was the kid. He was alive. Wow. I've never seen anything like it. And I had like, I don't know if I should say this on this. I kind of had a question about like, are dogs really that effective? Yeah. After that, I was sold. I was like, okay, because some of these dogs are absorbently expensive.
They're super impressive.
And the training. So that was really cool watching the dog find the person.
Yeah, I know. Well, do they keep their equipment up at the airport in the hangar with like the swiftwater rescue, like all that stuff?
We used to, yeah. We had our trailer there for a little bit. There is an EMS trailer there that we've used before. Joel Landis, a friend of mine. Yeah. Actually, Joel Landis.
Yeah, Joel's been on.
Yeah.
And so is Scott Braun. I don't know if you know Scott.
Yeah, I know Scott real well. And I've done some stuff with Swiftwater Rescue with Scott and done some training. He's really, talk about like knowledgeable. Yeah. Scott, when it comes to water, like ask Gron and he'll know. I did some Swiftwater training with him and did like the dry suits and stuff. So that was pretty cool. I actually think that I'm sort of a member of that team, I believe. And then also Joel Landis. Interestingly enough, a few years ago, Joel Landis and I hiked the Laurel Highlands hiking trail. Yeah, and he did we went to this place where I guess an airplane had crashed. It's really cool. It's like this unknown, and I still have it on my Garmin. And it was like a 12-mile loop. It was really cool. Joel and I went out, and it was really fun. But I don't even know where I was. But back to yes, we do. The EMS trailer we've used before, but no, our SAR trailer is we store it right now at our chief's house because he's generally the first one on scene. So but we have stored things at the hangar.
Yeah, that hangar is amazing. Scott took me over there and showed me around. And, it was actually Ellie Dawn who recommended Scott the search and rescue dog that Brendan Snyder runs.
Oh yeah, Brandon.
Yeah, she recommended Scott to the show, but I've been hoping to have Brandon on soon. So yeah,
you should. So Brandon's one of my best friends as well, oddly enough, and Brandon's parents, Denver and Jeff, are like we call them my kids. Like my kids call Brandon's parents Mimi and Pap. And I say they're their surrogate grandparents because Amy and I, my wife, don't have family here, right in town. So we're
taking you in.
I would say Brandon's basically like family to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I know Brandon really well. And Ellie, Brandon was on the SAR team with me, and Ellie, I see Ellie probably every week now.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah.
I just think I did a little bit of research on like this Belgian Malinois and the way they're using them in the military.
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing.
Those
dogs are incredible.
Yep. We have 2 of them right now on the SAR team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Malinois are really good for SAR. Downside, absorbently expensive, but they're very good. Like the Malinois that I've seen, they're very good. And interestingly enough, though, my understanding is you can use a lot of different dog breeds for SAR, but the Malinois are very good. Yeah. And that's the thing, with our team too, it's all private donation funding. We get no government grants or any money from the government or taxpayers or anything. So it's all private donation, but we're fortunate because we have a lot of really great people in this county that give to the SAR team. So we're able to fund the dogs and the drone and stuff.
Yeah. Especially when when they see you get a successful rescue, a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there's obviously a need.
Oh yeah,
And it's a big county.
It is.
And with a lot of, naturalized state parks, state forests, people hike around here all the time. Things happen.
There's a lot more SAR incidents than you would think.
Yeah.
So out of the SAR incidents that we've actually been on, as far as like posting online or like public about it, maybe 10% of them we've actually made a post or shared it.
Yeah.
A lot of them we just go out and do, and then that's that.
Yeah.
The more really successful ones that are really, good, sometimes we'll post that, but a lot of the time we don't even, the public doesn't even know.
It's something that is available to the people of Somerset County because, like you said, we may not know, but the authorities do. And so they,
And it's not typical for a county to have a SAR team like ours and to have the resources that we have. So we've been called to assist other SAR teams in other counties because, again, having a county with a sheriff's office that has a search and rescue team, not every county is like that. And to have a search and rescue team with like the capabilities that ours, not very many. The most comparable would be Allegheny Mountain Rescue in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And those guys are really good.
I've heard of them, yeah.
But again, it's a bigger county, a lot more funding. And we also have like most of our team is trained through NASAR, which is the National Association of Search and Rescue. Like, so I'm a NASAR SARTech 2 technician, and I had to basically train and then take a test in order to get that. So like I have the second highest SAR accreditation that's available in the US. And I'm one of, I think, 7 people on our team that have that.
Right.
That's unusual to have like that level of training and expertise in the subject matter. And actually SARTech's really cool too. You would love it if you like hiking.
Yeah.
So
and I like looking for stuff.
Maybe you should join. Like seriously. I mean, and I run our ground team. So all like the mapping stuff and the ground operations and gridding, like that's my expertise.
Yeah. My kids lose stuff all the time and I'm like, I'll find it.
Well, and you're like, I'm gonna get it like immediately.
I'm just like, it's like process of elimination to me. Where were you? Look there, look here. I'm always encouraging them like, well, did you look for it? But I can't find it because you're not actively looking.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're already qualified. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'll sign your application. So you're good. You're good.
So how many people are on the team?
So right now, I think that we have, I want to say we have a total of 22.
Yeah.
And emergency services, you have amount of people on the team, and then you have like the people that I would consider like kind of active. Yeah. Like, so we have maybe a group of like 12 to 14 that are active. Yeah. Guys that you're going to see at the trainings and stuff, which aren't bad numbers. But the guys that are on the team that we have are phenomenal. Like we have right now 3 UAV pilots, the drone pilots. So these guys are licensed to fly the drone, and 2 of them are actually commercial pilots too, like actual like fixed wing pilots. And I think Nathaniel has his rotary wing too. Like these guys, so, like our team's pretty diverse. Yeah, we awesome. we have airline pilots, we have cops, really diverse, great group of people.
It's a 100% volunteer team.
100% volunteer. It was funny. I was at an event about 2 weeks ago, and somebody was like, how much do you get paid for this? And I started laughing because I'm looking around and I was like, I'm pretty sure I donated like that. I donated this table that I'm at. And I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's actually the opposite. Yeah, you spend money, but no, it's great. And what I was going to say was our SARTech exam, one of the things we had to do with NASAR was you actually have like a paper map and a compass, and they give you coordinates. You have to plot them with your compass, and then you have to take your compass and your paper map without any tech and go into the woods and find the 3 points that you plotted. And there's like actual points that you have to find, and then you get the proof that you found it. Mm-hmm. And they were like spaced out like a mile into the woods. Yeah. So of course, like during my exam, it starts pouring raining. So like, and I think that I want to say you had 3 hours or something like that to do this. Yeah. So, and that I found that like really cool. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like paper, map, compass, like going out and find, like it was really neat. Yeah. So
very neat. Well, I want to get into your competition shooting, because I think that's cool. I want to know how you got to there, but we go back to just the everyday life of an attorney.
Sure.
Just tell me a little bit about the type of work that you do, because I know like it's a broad spectrum
It
of
is.
responsibilities
Sure.
and different directions that you can go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd just like to focus for a minute on that. Like, and also, if somebody's thinking about becoming an attorney, they're getting ready to graduate high school.
Absolutely.
And like, what ways should they be thinking? And what qualities in that person do you think might, they say, oh, I'm kind of that way, and that would make me want to be an attorney, or what are those attributes that somebody might have that would qualify them?
Sure. There's so many different attributes and so many different things that you can do with like a Juris Doctorate with a law degree that there's not one specific type of person. One of the so it really would be anybody who's interested in it. But one piece of advice I always give, so I have high school students that shadow me sometimes, and maybe throughout the years I've had like 10 or 11 do that, and I've had interns throughout the years and things. And one thing that I always tell high school students, you don't have to major in something that has anything to do with law, which is what's kind of nice about law school. Like, you can decide to go to law school 2 years into college. So what you need to become an attorney is you need a 4-year bachelor's degree. Once you have that, then you would need to get into law school, take the LSAT and get into law school, and then law school's 3 years. But that 4-year bachelor's degree can be in anything. So like when I was in law school at Duquesne, our number one in our class, Jamie, he was, I want to say, a biochem major, and he was something in like the medical field. Like, it had nothing to do with law. So you can quite literally major in anything and then go to law school.
Right.
So my advice is always major in something. And it's funny because I had such useless majors because I knew I was going to go to law school. So I did political science with a law concentration and philosophy. Like, those majors, you would either go to law school or probably be like waiting table. Like those majors are not going to get you a job, right? But I knew since I was 3 that I wanted to go to law school. So and philosophy was great because it helped with the LSAT. There's analytical reasoning, logical reasoning, and then the poli-sci law stuff went along with it. So like I had these two, like, arguably, probably offending people with those, but they're useless majors, right? Yeah. So like if I wasn't sure I was going to go to law school, I would have been way better off in doing like accounting.
One thing you hear me talk a lot about on this podcast is how much people matter here in Somerset County. And that's especially true when it comes to where you bank. That's why I want to tell you about Somerset Trust Company. They've been serving our communities for generations, and they understand what it means to be a truly local bank with a strong presence across the region. So whether you're running a small business, working towards your financial goals, or planning for the future, Somerset Trust offers the kind of personal service and support that you don't always find these days. If you're looking for a bank that's invested in the same communities we talk about here on the Route 281 podcast, check out Somerset Trust Company and experience the difference of banking locally.
Because then I could be an accountant or doing something that had more practical value to it. So one piece of advice I have for anybody thinking about law school is if you're not 125% positive you're going to go to law school, then do a major that's going to be useful if you don't end up going to law school.
You can always focus your law degree towards that field then, right? And just say, for the example of the chem science, right? There's chemical, there's all kind of...
Oh, yeah, there's products litigation with like pharmaceuticals. Like there's all sorts of things. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So like the one thing that I would say to anybody thinking about becoming an attorney would be you don't have to go to college and focus on, hey, I'm getting ready for law school. Go to college and focus something that you're interested in that might be more marketable. And it, oddly enough, like when Duquesne was taking law students, they wanted a mix of different, like
right. They
didn't want
to see pre-law,
poli-sci. Like that's why there was people, I think we had one girl that was in like, had a fashion degree, biochem, like whatever. So I would say that my first piece of advice is don't kind of pigeonhole yourself like into that path. Like you can do any degree, and as long as it's a 4-year bachelor's, and here's what law schools look at: your GPA and your LSAT. So like just like the SAT or whatever they call it now, Those are the two most important things. So if you have good grades and a decent LSAT, you'll get into a good law school. Like they're not, oh, well, he wasn't political science, we're not taking him. That's not how it works. So I mean, and the other thing I would say is if anybody, younger kids, high schoolers, find an attorney and shadow them for a day or two.
Yeah.
I've done that with plenty of students, and you'll find out really fast, this is for me or it's not. Mm-hmm. Like I've had a few people job shadow me that was like, I'm absolutely like going to pursue this. And I've had others be like, that's definitely not for me. So I think that people would be surprised, especially like high school kids, if you were just call, I could think of 20 lawyers right now off the top of my head. If I was in high school and I just called them and said, hey, attorney so-and-so, or hey, attorney Leake, I'm in high school and thinking about law school. Do you mind if I follow you around for a day? I'll be like, yeah, what are you doing Monday? I have a jury trial Monday. You want to come see jury selection?
They can come and sit in a courtroom.
Heck yeah. They could sit with me at counsel table. You know what I mean? Like right behind me, assist me with documentation. So I think that most lawyers would do that, So my advice would be go try it, right? Because you don't really know until. Right,
absolutely. And that's with anything. I mean, if you can do, like we were talking about earlier, like there's so many, I don't envy kids right now trying to make a decision at the age of 18 what they're going to do with the rest of their life.
Sure.
Because, here I am at 44 and I still don't know. But
yeah.
You know what I mean? But it is, so you don't know until you do it. And that's why, doing things, trying it out. Yeah, it's great. And whether you're doing it for that or, if you want to be a dairy farmer, you better go spend a week on a dairy farm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Before you make that commitment.
My neighbor was a dairy farmer growing up, and I knew I didn't want to do that because I'd look out there at 4 a.m. and then at 6 p.m. and they were milking. I was like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And then every time I'd throw a bale of hay, I'd be like, I'm going to go to law school. This is a pain.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I grew up on a dairy farm here, and
that's a big commitment. Yeah,
it is. It's a lifestyle.
Oh, but
it's a commitment to a lifestyle, and I'm sure to a degree it is for you also. But so that's nice to hear because I think it is important for kids to take the initiative, take the step, make the phone call.
Absolutely.
Put in a little bit of research before you go and commit to 4 years for something you don't know what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, or even when they're in college. You're in college and maybe I'm thinking about law school. What's this all about? Get a hold of an attorney in your community. Mm-hmm. Anybody watching this that wants to shadow me, absolutely. And I'll tell them I
might shadow you.
You can come. Yeah, Tim, you want to come in and see what it's like for a day? I mean, okay. I always find it interesting when I do have people shadow me or like people hang out with me, how fascinating most people actually do find it. Because after 12 years of it, I've had thousands of cases. So and Joe used to say this too, my predecessor used to be like, man, it's hard for me to get nervous in court. It's hard to me to get routed because you've done it so many times, but it is really I really do love it. And and it sounds cheesy as all heck, but I really do think the U.S. Constitution is the most significant document ever written by a human being. And there it is right there, obviously. And I give these speeches at schools for Law Day and I'll go, I went and did a speech at Berlin and North Star, and I always does anybody want to argue with me? This isn't the most important document. So I really do believe that. And and I'm in a career where I feel if you're doing prosecution work, it's so cool because you're defending the U.S. Constitution and you're serving your government. If you're doing defense work, it's so cool because you're upholding people's civil liberties. No matter how you look at it, I really do believe that attorneys are just extremely important to society because laws are so important. Without laws, we're obviously a country of laws, not men, right? And without laws, where would we be? Right. So I really do feel that attorneys are very important, and it's extremely important that we have good young lawyers coming up. And we're seeing less young lawyers now. Yeah. I think that people are starting to understand going to law school isn't necessarily an instant, I'm going to have a successful career and make a lot of money. It's just like anything else, contracting. I have friends that are contractors that certainly probably make more than most lawyers, but it's how hard you work, right? So, and I think that people are realizing, just because you get a law degree doesn't mean you're going to be successful and make a lot of money. It's a lot of hard work. But we do need good young lawyers. We really do. And it's very important for not only like our community here, but just for the country as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that, because my wife and I were just talking about that the other day, how amazing it is that, our founders drafted this at that time period.
Absolutely.
And we had a Bible study last night at our church, and our pastor knows that Bible, verse and he ties the whole thing together and completes the whole story. You're not just looking at one page, and he'll tell you, and he obviously knows, and that's his craft, and he does it very, very well. And I relate it to sometimes, like, when I get in my work truck, I know where every tool is, and I know what every tool does, and I know what ones I need and what ones I don't. And so with a good attorney, they know that book inside and out.
Oh yeah.
And that's where, pastor's important because he knows the Bible inside and out. Contractor's important because he knows the tools to do,
Sure.
And the same applies. When you know your craft and you know it well, like, it shows.
Yep. Absolutely. And something you mentioned, whenever, the founders put that together, the brilliance is just, it almost seems an almost like supernatural.
Yeah, I believe it was.
The separation of powers, the principles that they came up with in order to survive as long as it has, and make such a successful country.
Yeah,
it's just insane to think about.
Yeah, we can't let people twist it and alter it, and
But it survives still,
Yeah.
even to this day,
Exactly.
which is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as we keep the same mentality that they had.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's important, obviously.
Right, yeah. So what do you think is, what's like a piece of, what do people in Somerset County most likely need an attorney for?
Well, setting up businesses is a big one. Obviously, like you did your LLC and things. So, business law is big in Somerset. And I know that, there's a lot of, I don't do as much of that. Like I do it for family and friends. My primary focus is family law. So like the bread and butter sort of attorney, small town practice areas, I would say would be like basic business law, estate planning. So I write wills and powers of attorneys and things like that, and probate estate. So state law is important too, like normal everyday stuff. Family law is always there because, obviously, divorce and custody happens. And criminal defense, there's criminal laws and they're enforced. And so I would say those are the big ones, like business law, state work, criminal law, and family law. Those are going to be like the big Somerset, kind of practice areas, and personal injury too, like car accidents. But I don't really do much of that.
Yeah. Do you find yourself mostly on the defense side of things, or have you done both sides? Or?
Well, when it comes to like the family law cases, I'm on both sides. So plaintiff or defendant. When it comes to the criminal defense stuff, I'm always on the defense side for the most part. I was a solicitor for a couple different municipalities. I was Boswell Borough's solicitor for many years.
What does that mean?
That means I represented the borough council.
Okay.
And as part of that, I would actually prosecute ordinance violations. So like a noise ordinance, or like you get written up by for codes inspection, I would prosecute those. So that was like the only time I ever really represented like the Commonwealth. It was on, and one that we saw a lot was, like we had a nuisance statute where people leave like junk in their yard, and we'd have to prosecute those. Yeah. So I'd prosecuted those like little things, and I thought that was kind of cool to be able to represent the Commonwealth once in a while. Yeah. But the vast majority of the stuff I've done is defense work.
Okay. Yeah. And then I know you had mentioned that you and I did read the article that was in the Daily American on your case that went to the PA State Supreme Court.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was in 2019. I had a case. So one of the things I did back then, and I took over for Joe, was I was something called conflict counsel. So conflict counsel is a court-appointed lawyer whenever the public defender's office would represent like more than one person in the case, like co-defendants. I would get court-appointed. So I was like basically like a government-appointed lawyer. And I got a case that was really interesting. It's actually a DUI case, Commonwealth versus Olson. And I got appointed to it through the court. and I got appointed to something called a PCRA, which is the Post-Conviction Collateral Relief Act. It's basically like my job was to kind of like review the case that was already done for the client and determine if there's anything we could do to, if there was any problems with the conviction or anything. And when I got appointed to that case, there was this case called Birchfield versus North Dakota out of the U.S. Supreme Court that had recently basically held that it was unconstitutional for a state to criminalize somebody refusing a blood test on a traffic stop for a DUI. So like in a roundabout way, what the U.S. Supreme Court said was, just because you refuse a blood draw, the state can't prosecute you for like the highest level of a DUI. They need to get a warrant for your blood. And there's U.S. Supreme Court precedent that says like whenever a substantive change in the law happens, that change is not retroactive to like previous cases, but if it's a procedural change, it is retroactive. So I argued that like that new Supreme Court case that was really good for my client should apply. And we ended up losing that in trial court. We lost in the PA Superior Court, the appellate court, and then we went to the PA Supreme Court with it. And only, I would say like a very small percentage of cases are actually accepted for PA Supreme Court review, and this one was.
Right.
So it's really exciting. Like in a lawyer's career, there's many, many lawyers that go through their entire career that will never have a PA Supreme Court case. I had one when I was in my 20s, and it was really interesting. And we ended up not being successful in the PA Supreme Court, but Justice Saylor actually wrote a dissenting opinion. He was the Chief Justice that agreed with our argument. That was really cool. Yeah. And what happened afterwards was really interesting. So I didn't realize it, but if you have a PA Supreme Court case that has to do with constitutional principles and U.S. Supreme Court precedent, that type of case has a very good chance of actually making it to the United States Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. So the United States Supreme Court only takes like some tiny percentage of cases that are asked for reviewed. So whenever you ask for review before the U.S. Supreme Court, you have to file something called a petition for writ of certiorari and ask for them to review it. So we ended up not being successful in Olson's case at the PA Supreme Court, which was unfortunate, but it was still very interesting to be able to go and argue there. I still have the video of me like arguing it because it was on PCN, which is like the court network. And it was a really interesting argument. And I had a ton of great questions from the bench too. It was one of my favorite days ever being an attorney doing that. And I didn't realize it, but these big law firms have these U.S. Supreme Court appellate divisions, and they watch each Supreme Court in the state and see which cases are decided. And if the case has a public defender, like court-appointed lawyer, they'll actually reach out and offer to do the case. So when Olson's case got decided, I got calls from all around the country from these big firms offering to help with like trying to get the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. It was really interesting. So
what's in it for them to do that?
Well, every lawyer is supposed to have like, under the rules of ethics, we're supposed to have part of our practice be pro bono or free. Mm-hmm. So like every year I probably do maybe like 5% of my practice is I do free work, like represent the sheriff's office or the search and rescue team, you name it, you know. So those firms have pro bono sectors where they offer free legal work. And we're supposed to do that as lawyers. But these big firms, they want the most, obviously, prestigious pro bono work. And the most prestigious work you can do as a lawyer is U.S. Supreme Court arguments. Okay. So I got a call from, I think it was Jones Day, which is one of the biggest law firms in the world. Yeah,
and I've heard of that. Yeah. I think actually Megyn Kelly worked for Jones Day.
Oh, did she?
I believe so.
I get a call, and it was so cool. And this guy, and I thought my paralegal was like I thought my secretary was like messing with me. She's like, this partner from Jones Day is on the phone. He's calling from Dubai. I'm like, come on, what are you talking about? So this guy, he's on the phone with me. He goes, you're Olson's lawyer on Commonwealth versus Olson, aren't you? I said, yeah, David Leake, what's up? And he's like, well, we're going to offer to help with your PA Supreme Court case you just lost the other day, and we're gonna do all the legal work for you. And
so, do they want an appeal?
They want to appeal the case for you in order to be the lawyers on the U.S. Supreme Court case, and and only a very small percentage have a chance. So I'm like, what in the world? And he goes, we have a team of lawyers that's going to get on this case. And I go, wow, my one lawyer used to clerk for the U.S. Supreme Court. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, what's in it for you guys? And he goes, well, I would be lead counsel on the case, and like, I'd take the case over for you. And I'm like, that sounds like a wonderful opportunity, like for my client. Like, this is great. So it was really interesting. And I called my client, and I told him this, and I go, they're going to put all this work towards your case. And he goes, well, what's the catch? And I go, well, the catch is, like, I'm not your lawyer anymore. I'm not lead counsel. He goes, call him and tell him you're my lawyer. So I called him, and they're like, but the moral of the story is I did get a call from MacArthur Justice Institute in Washington, D.C. And it was like the 5th call that I got, all these big firms. And I did mess with the one big firm, and it was funny. He called from like Reed Smith or something in some big city. And I'm like, oh, I'm David Leake from Somerset. I was messing with him. But so I get this call from MacArthur Justice Institute in DC, really nice attorney. He gets on the phone. He's like, hey, I want to help you with your Supreme Court case. I'm like, let me guess. I don't get to be a lawyer on it anymore. And he's like, yeah, it's usually our policy and stuff. I said, look, how about I say lead counsel, you guys help me with it, and I'll come to DC if it gets approved and we can practice the argument. And he's like, well, let me talk to MacArthur. And he was a Harvard Law School professor. And he's like, we're going to talk to the Harvard Law School clinic. And it was really neat because they ended up taking the case with us. I ended up staying lead counsel. And then MacArthur Justice Institute helped us writing the writ of certiorari along with the Harvard Law School clinic. So we had Harvard students that helped with it and stuff. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we did file the writ of certiorari with the Supreme Court, asked for review, and they ended up denying review, unfortunately. But it was really interesting because of having, like, I was lead counsel on a case, and my co-counsel was a Harvard Law School professor.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's pretty neat, so.
Yeah, that's probably something that most people, would like to have under their belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of like right place, right time, too.
Yeah.
Like, it was the right case, and a whole bunch of things had to fall in place for that to happen.
Very cool. I just don't think that it's something that, I don't know that most people get a window into, to the job that you do. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of why I wanted to have you out, and in your offices in Somerset. It's just nice to meet people. And
sure.
Yeah, like I said, most people's window is court TV.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So are there any parallels, and what's different?
So there are parallels. Like, the courtroom is set up the same way that it is in the TV show. Yeah. I mean, you have the judge up there and like counsel tables, the jury. So that's all true. Obviously the TV shows dramatize it. So it's not, every proceeding isn't as exciting as it is on, the shows. A lot of it's more just like procedural things. So I'd say like it's similar in the regard that the setups in the shows are usually the same. It's not similar in the sense that like a lot of the things that go on aren't as exciting. Yeah. A lot of it's like maybe it's in a defense case reviewing somebody's bail. That's not that exciting. Yeah. But it can be exciting sometimes. Like jury trials are exciting. Yeah. I even some custody trials can be exciting. So it's not as exciting and dramatized as it is on TV, just like anything else.
Right. Well, but it's my customers will say, how long is this going to take? And I was like, and they're like, they'll be like, that's a little longer than we thought. I'm like, would you watch a lot of HGTV?
Yeah.
Where they do it in a half an hour?
Exactly. Great analogy, right? Yeah. Like, well, wait a second. Like, at the end of the half-hour show, the house is done. Like, yeah, it's renovated. What are you talking about? It's going to take 3 months. Yeah, like, come on. Yeah. So, same analogy. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of it's not as exciting as the TV.
Yeah. But still rewarding.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love my career, and it's what I always wanted to do.
Yeah, that's neat. I admire people who have that goal when they're young. Mm-hmm. They know what they want to do, and they stick with it. My wife is that way. She's always wanted to be a teacher and a stay-at-home mom. She's doing both of those.
That's great.
Yeah, I just admire people that kind of stick to that and have a clear path. And
yeah, definitely.
But there are plenty of people out there who don't. And that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So tell me how you got into shooting.
So my granddad, World War II vet, on the beaches of Normandy and survived, sharpshooter, U.S. Army. His house was like a gun museum. He was a gun collector. He had, I think at one point he owned over 500 firearms. So my granddad was like my hero. I loved my granddad. I learned how to shoot when I was like 4. Yeah. I always loved, I always loved firearms and shooting and every type of shooting. And, you know, ever since I was like a little kid, I remember wanting to be a lawyer and shoot guns. So I've always shot my whole life. And I ended up getting more into like the tactical law enforcement type training stuff. And one of the things with that is you can only get to a certain point, like the tactical LE world. The best shooters on the planet, like the best guys on the planet with a like an AR-15 or a rifle or handgun, are competition shooters in either the United States Practical Shooting Association, USPSA, or the International Practical Shooting Confederation, IPSC. So the best people on the planet at shooting are in these organizations and competitive shooters. And the competition shooting world, all of the fundamentals and things that we do, like in our world, bleed into the tactical and LE world. So for example, 20 years ago, people are shooting open division USPSA with red dots on their handgun, right? You ask a cop 20 years ago if he would have a red dot on his handgun, he would look at you like you'd have two heads. Now I want to say something like 90% of LE agencies are running red dots. So the top guys on the planet are in USPSA and IPSC, and that's why I went there. Because like I wanted to be in like where the top shooters on the planet are. So I got really involved with USPSA. I shot a little bit like 10, 12 years ago, kind of like put it aside, did more of like the law enforcement, tactical training stuff. Like I have a bunch of certificates for that. I came back to it 2 years ago. And in our system in USPSA, you get classified. So like when you I shoot about a match a week. I have an area match actually on Friday in New Tripoli, PA, which is like one of our major matches. That's big. There's going to be 500-600 people at that one. Oh, wow. Yeah, best guy on the planet, Max Leo Grandis. I know Max a little bit. He's going to be there in my division. So we're going to have the best guy on the planet. Yeah. Another cool thing about my sport too. So last year I shot in Utah at our national championship. I got to shoot with the number 1, 2, and 3 people in my sport on the planet in my squad. Yeah. That's like playing basketball with Michael Jordan. Yeah. So like my sport is so cool because, you know, like most sports, like you're not going to go, you know, play basketball with Michael Jordan or play catch with, you know, whatever quarterback, you know what I mean? But in my sport, like if you sign up for a major and like the stars align, like you can shoot with some of the best people on the planet and you're compared to them. So like I have Max's score and I have my score. I'm not going to say where I ended up compared to him because he's best shooter on the planet. Yeah. But I got into it because that's where there's no argument. The top people on the planet with firearms are.
How do any of those tactics, are they used by special operations and special forces, like it's a close quarters training? Because I've watched videos of what you do, and it looks a lot like close quarters training.
It's similar, yeah.
I mean,
so to answer that question, so like SF or SWAT, like that training is different. You use cover. There's hard cover, soft cover. The tactics are slightly different, but the fundamentals of shooting are the same. So some of the top like SF forces in the world, like SEALs and these top guys, are trained by top grandmaster competition shooters. Okay. So Ben Stoger is one of the big ones. Ben trained special forces units. So the shooting fundamentals are the same regardless of the tactics. So like how your target focus, how the sights come in, how you hold the gun. That doesn't change compared to like a SWAT team member, an SF guy, or me. But then like the tactics, like how you clear a room, those are slightly different. But the shooting fundamentals, yes, the top competition shooters in my sport, like the top grandmasters, do teach SF guys and do teach SWAT and all those high level things. Cool. And actually some of the other, so I'm a grandmaster in carbine. And I was just talking to another GM the other week, and he has been training like local law enforcement on AR-15. Because me as a pistol caliber carbine grandmaster, I'm considered like in the top 5% in the world with an AR-15 in my hand. So like the fundamentals that I use to win matches like are also very applicable for any SWAT team or any SF unit. So yeah, absolutely. So in my sport, like there's different, you get different classifications based on like your performance. And 2 years ago, it was 2024. At that point, I got back into it and I set 2 goals and they were like crazy. I was a B class shooter. So it's like D, Grandmaster. And I would say there's probably in like this part of the state and guys that actually shoot with me, there's maybe Nathan, one of my friends that just made GM, and I've been helping him out. He's a good kid. There's 3 of us now. Like, there's not very many of us. And I said a couple years ago, I'm going to make Grandmaster and USPSA in 1 year, and I'm going to lose 65 pounds. And I did both goals at the same time. So I went from 248 pounds to like 190, 185. And I also made Grandmaster. And like, I would tell people that, and they'd be like, you're never going to make Grand. Like, a lot of shooters are like, you're never going to make GM. Like, it's like this weird thing where like, oh, that's like an unobtainable goal because GM is so hard. But I made it. A lot of
discipline and hard work to do both. I'm sure. You know what I mean?
It took probably 2 hours a day of working out, probably an hour and a half to 2 hours a day of shooting, and then counting calories and eating right.
And you're still married.
And I'm still married. And what I would do is, and Somerset Sportsman's Club is amazing. Their indoor range is right by my house. So my routine, and I might actually, depending on what time is it after I'm done here, my kids go to bed at 7:30 at night. By 8 p.m., I'm generally at the indoor range, and I shoot from 8 p.m. to 10 at night. And then in an ideal world, like when I was losing all the weight, then I would go to the gym from like 5 to 7 in the morning. Then I would work from like 7 to 5. So it was kind of like, balancing it all.
Yeah, which is tough to do.
Yeah, very tough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's, that's pretty cool. Congratulations, because that's not easy to do.
Well, thank you.
To do both of those, I'm sure. But,
I appreciate it.
So are there any shoots that are like super local, or and can somebody come and spectate?
Yeah, so anybody can come and actually
get too close.
Anybody can come and shoot a match. Okay. The closest one to us, we were going to sanction Somerset. I was going to start hosting matches as the match director here in Somerset at Dan Dively's range. But that got put on hold because he was still working on it, and I was focusing on getting better at the sport rather than match directing. Closest to us, Bedford County Gun Club. They run one out there. Mm-hmm. And then also second closest would be East Huntington Gun Club, which is outside of Mount Pleasant.
Yeah. Now, when I was watching your video, it's like there's one shot, then you change clips, or is there more than that? Explain that.
So it depends on the course of fire. Okay. So each match, like a local match, will have anywhere between 5 to 7 what we call stages. Yeah. So a stage is like, it could be like as big as this room, as big as like the downstairs of your house. And then there's targets placed in different places. There could be hallways, doors, whatever. And basically each stage is different. So like the stage that you might have saw me like changing magazines, that might have been a stage where the written stage brief, the WSB, basically said I needed to change mags at a certain time. So like there's also directions for the stage sometimes. Mm-hmm. So not every stage has that. So like there might just be a stage where there's 10 targets that are placed throughout it. You move throughout it and shoot it. And the range officer, and I'm also a certified range officer with USPSA, you follow the shooter around with the shot timer, and the timer keeps track of everything. So like the beep, the timer starts, and the timer knows when you're shooting because it like hears it like, and it tells you all the stats. So the way it's scored is basically each target has scoring zones. So the A zone is 5 points. So they take all of the points that you got from shooting the target, they add all those points together, and then it's divided by your time, and that's what's called your hit factor, and that ultimately becomes your score.
Yeah.
So it's like a perfect balance of accuracy and speed.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Now, where can the average concealed carry person, or somebody who conceals, but where can the average person go to get better? I'll say just to know the basics.
That's a great question. So the basics of the basics, a great place to start. Thinking there's a few instructors around. I used to teach like basic handgun. We had a business called what do we call ourselves? S&D Firearms Training Institute. It was me and three guys that were like active LE, but we don't do that anymore. There's a few instructors in the area. I mean, if you want to get like the basics of the basics, then you could find like an NRA handgun instructor. Thinking my buddy Alan He works at M&T Arms. They offer like a basic concealed carry class. The sheriff's office also does a basic handgun safety class about 2 times a year, and it's actually free. And I'm the lead instructor for it. So I do like a PowerPoint on a Thursday night at the courthouse, and then we shoot at the range on like Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So that's a good class too, but it's not like it's that often.
Right.
So
Can
I
you
would
just
say
go to the sheriff's website to find out when those classes are?
you can call the sheriff's office and they'll tell you like when the next one. Dusty and I are trying to plan one for September. That's a nice resource, but it's not like all the time. It's like once in a while. It's a really great class. I would say like the basic person looking for like basic like concealed carry fundamentals, I would just say like look for like a local NRA handgun instructor. And I'm thinking the ones that like I would call M&T. They offer classes there. I know that they do there. And I'm trying to think, like Alan does as well. I used to, I would offer to right now, like if somebody wanted to learn how to shoot, I'm certified to do that. Only problem is time.
Yeah, you're busy already.
So yeah, Googling NRA handgun instructor, that's what I do.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Have you seen I'm sure you have, the guy in Idaho at the In-N-Out, somebody stepping up.
Oh yeah.
Got
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and that's the reason that you want at least to be somewhat proficient. Like you can conceal carry, hoping you never have to use the thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But in the event that you do, you at least want to know what you're doing.
Yeah, and I guess that.
And I think it's like even for churches, people
Sure.
that conceal carry in churches, because you never know when some whack job's coming anyway.
Absolutely.
But at least to be proficient, to know where to aim,
Definitely.
We did a RVAT report. Risk and vulnerability assessment at one of the churches that we used to attend. Oh, it was excellent. Just point out things that you wouldn't think of.
Yep.
And
Definitely.
basically they told us, well, you're an hour away from us, so you're on your own. Here, get some zip ties, and hope you have some guys that know how to use.
Yeah, and that's why it's important. I mean, I conceal carry almost everywhere I go, and like I think it's important. I know who I was talking. Alan Marker. He has a common. I think he calls it himself common sense defense. Alan Marker. He's an instructor for M&T, and he has his own. And I think I helped him with his business. Alan does a good job. He trains church protection groups. I came and talked at one of his church. They call them church safety teams. That's what it is. Yeah. I came and talked at one of his classes for the church safety team about use of force law, and he's a good resource. I know he teaches classes, and he uses Somerset Sportsman's Club to do that. Yeah. So Alan Marker is a good dude. I know him personally. If you want like basic handgun, Alan's your man. Like I would just Google Alan, and I think it's Common Sense Defense. That's his company. So like he's like the local like basic handgun instructor. He's who I would go to if I was referring people.
Hey, before you go, if you've been putting off that family trip, August is not the time to wait. My wife Lindsay runs Quiet Waters Travel, and she specializes in turning the trip that you've been thinking about into something that you and your family will actually remember. Reach out before school starts and go to quietwaterstravel.com.
And he does the church group stuff too.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, good luck at your match tomorrow.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, we're going there tomorrow to kind of like spectate and watch and stage plan. It's 13 stages, and then we're shooting it Friday. So I'll be shooting Friday, and I'm taking two of my my sport's very like mentor mentee. So I'm mentoring probably like 8 or 9 guys right now, and 2 of the guys that I'm mentoring are shooting the match too. And my one. And Nathan I haven't been working with as long, and he was very good when I met him, but he just recently made Grandmaster, which was really cool, and he beat me in a match, so it's like
the students become the master.
Yep, that's what's happening.
That's what you hope for, right?
Yeah, and my buddy Carson beat me in a match too, and then I'm gritting my teeth, but no, you do hope for that. Like that's great that they're getting that good that fast, and
very cool.
Yep.
Well, David, it was a pleasure to meet you, and glad I know the person behind the sign there at your building now, and just seemed like you're fit right in Somerset County. So,
thanks.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, loved being on the show. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, all right, buddy.
All right,
thank you.
Yep.